afternoon, viewers, and welcome to Matters of Public Importance right here on Channel 6. I'm Gail Teixeira, Opposition Parliamentary Chief Whip for the People's Progressive Party Civic and members of the People's Progressive Party. On this program, we shall focus on matters of public importance, bring you information and discussions on issues and matters that have concern to you, the Guyanese public, every Thursday between 12:30 and 1:30 right here on Channel 6. Before we get into the meat of the program, as usual, I remind you of the telephone numbers you could use to call in the program, and we usually start taking calls a little after 1. Sometimes I get carried away, and so we may not start till 1:10. But anyway, stay tuned. And so 225-0010 and 225-0008. Please feel free to call in the program. As I've informed you before, the Leader of the Opposition office is at 304 Church Street. We are open for business. We are here to listen to you. If you have issues you wish to raise with us, you need representation, you need guidance. We are not interested in who you voted for in 2015. We're here to serve the people. We're the elected representatives of the people in the Parliament. And so our office is open Monday to Saturday, and from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and from Saturdays from 9 to about 1:30, 2 o'clock, depending on how many people come in. And of course, we have MPs there from time to time. We have an office there that listen to you, and the telephone number in case you wish to ask for a particular member of Parliament, 225-3432. 225-3432. And of course, just to remind you, Freedom Radio is being broadcast at 91.1 for Demerara, 90.5 for Berbice, and 90.7 for Essequibo. And this is our radio program belonging to the People's Progressive Party, and you're able to listen to various views, inspirational programs, women's programs, all sorts of issues to do with farmers and so on. So please feel free to tune in to Freedom Radio. The last two programs, we examined the President's decision to revoke the lease for the Red House, that is Chetty Jagan Research Center, and the events that followed from that. We also spoke about GCOM and the process for the appointment of the chairman of GCOM, and the latest development where the President had rejected the list of names submitted by the Leader of the Opposition, and furthermore had rejected a request by the Leader of the Opposition to meet and clarify the various interpretations of the Constitution. The President had said that he was willing to have a representative of the People's Progressive Party Civic meet with his Attorney General. We have accepted that offer, and we are waiting to see when that meeting can be arranged. And so that's where we are right now. Of course, we have been asked to submit another issue, and that is being discussed. That's being discussed by us. And last week we discussed the new taxation measures, especially the one on VAT, which is under Order number 18 of 2016. For any of those of you who like to go on the net, go into Official Gazette, Guyana, look under Publications, look for Order number 18, 2016, that was tabled on December 20th, and then you'll be able to read what are the various items that were moving from zero rated to exempt status. And that means that you won't be paying VAT on it, but the persons who are importing, producing, manufacturing will have to pay VAT on those items, and therefore there will be indirect taxation, and that people will then have to recoup their money by being able to probably increasing the prices. So we discussed all that in the last meeting. Well, to bring you up to date with Parliament, we have a sitting on January the 30th, and in the interim we have brought amendments to two bills, as we told you when we had the last sitting on January 5th and 6th. One of them had to do with the removal, we called for the removal of the VAT on electricity and water, and I think you know the results. The government defeated that, with their 33 votes. And so I did also inform you that Order number 18 of 2016, that we had put a negative motion to call for its removal, and that the government reinstate the zero-rated items that were there originally, that we had put in the schedules of the VAT between 2006 and 2008. And so this is where we're allowed to, as an opposition, to put such a motion to call in the government to withdraw the Order number 18. And the motion has a life of 40 days, which would expire on January 28th. During the last sitting on January 6th, the APNU-AFC, true to form, refused to uphold the interpretation of the Interpretation and General Clauses Act, which allows and says that these bills, negative motions on an order or bill, must be debated as soon as practicable, and the standing orders uphold that as well. Of course, they wanted a sitting on January 30th. They refused to budge. The Speaker then said he would he would advise on a way forward. After 2 weeks, we didn't hear from him, and not surprised, but anyway, as I said the last 2 times, I'm not holding my breath. Well, I was right, because as of Monday, the Speaker had not responded and done anything on it. In the interim, we had written a letter last week calling on him under the standing orders that he could call a special sitting on a matter of public interest of importance to the Guyanese people. We pointed out this motion to call for the withdrawal of Order Number 18 was in order, and therefore he had a right to call, and we called on him to call a sitting on January 26th or 27th. Of course, no response from him except to say that our motion on the VAT must be amended and we can debate the issue, but we can't have it withdrawn. This VAT and all these items that are now moved from zero to exempt come into effect on February the 1st. So we'll see what happens after February the 1st. What is the impact on the consumers, the impact on business, and the impact on the economy? They're hard ears, they don't want to listen. We also tabled 2 motions last week to debate at the sitting on January 30th. And these are relating to the GPL, frequent, widespread, unscheduled power outages and long power outages, and calling on the GPL to take measures to rectify this matter and to tell the people what measures they're going to take to rectify it. But in addition to that, calling for the GPL and the government to say what is the long-term strategy to deal with the energy sector and the electricity needs of the people. How are they going to provide affordable, reliable, sustainable electricity to the people? We hear about wind farms and stuff, and there's a wind farm they're talking about, and there's highly questionable how that is going on. But that will not give the kind of power to the national grid that is needed. And you know that they don't want to deal with a miler. They pitched it out so many times. And so what is their solution to the energy needs of our country? The other motion was calling for the reversal of the MMA increases in fees for the farmers for rental, drainage, and irrigation and other services in Region 5. The Speaker, surprisingly, and totally against all parliamentary standing orders, amended both motions, watering them down and removing key be it resolved clauses. So imagine the GPL one. We're calling for the government within 2 weeks to table the IDB Energy Mix, the Norconsult report on Amila, and other feasibility studies that have been done on solar, wind, biothermal, ethanol, and any other ones, to table them in the House and send it to a parliamentary select committee to discuss and come back with recommendations to the House within 3 months. Imagine the Speaker found that clause offensive and removed it. So we have a new dispensation. Everything we submit, a question, a motion, is amended by the Editor-in-Chief of the Parliament called the Speaker. Now the Editor-in-Chief, there is no such thing, no such power that is allowed to the Speaker to be Editor-in-Chief. He either approves a motion, doesn't approve it, or he points out what may be offensive clauses, and the standing orders say what is offensive. But saying a motion is too long, or these paragraphs could come out just because he doesn't like them, but there's nothing wrong with them in Parliament, is unheard of and really is muzzling of the PPPC MPs. And we know that he's a creature of the government and he's the one who's doing their bidding in the Parliament. We're quite aware of what is going on. However, despite all that, we have agreed to all the amended motions because we believed that what the strategy was to cut up our motions on GPL and the MMA farmers and on the VAT to such an extent that we would throw up our hands and say, no, we're not participating. Well, they got a surprise. We accepted the amended motions. We're going in and we're going to go and fight on these issues and make the public know what is going on in this country on these issues. So we shall not be muzzled. We shall not be muzzled. We have observed, a trend in the government presentations, both in the media, in Parliament, and in other places, as well as a number of reports by a number of media houses, that blames the PPPC and the past administration for the difficulties this government is having and blaming the PPC for the mistakes this government is making. And I call them apologists. These apologists try to blame the PPC for the incompetence and ineptitude of the APNU AFC government. We remind everyone, including the government, that we are not in government. They are, and they have to fix the problems and fix the issues. That's what government's about. But so let me go through a list of things that the PPC is not responsible for in this country. You can blame us and you don't think we were a great government and we made mistakes. Yes, I don't doubt that we made mistakes. However, there are things that have happened from May the 16th, 2015, which the PPP has nothing to do with. And let me just remind you, these are the makings of the APNU AFC and the change they promised to guide these people. So the PPC is not the one who has introduced the parking meters in Georgetown. And they brought in these parking meters despite appeals by individuals, high-ranking individuals, leaders of civil society, the man on the street, and the People's Progressive Party Civic. We've called on them to abandon this and hold a forensic audit by the Auditor Office of Guyana to go into the contract because it stinks like, you know what, like fish when it's rotting. This is a contract that was a secret deal. It was done with an enormous amount of illegal activity and violation of the procurement laws of this country. But outside of that, the imposition of parking meters on this country is unacceptable, it is unconscionable, and it is something in our country where if they wanted to solve the traffic problem, there are other ways to solve the traffic problem. There were traffic studies done, which they've thrown out the window. Imagine the bylaws. It is then the police are getting involved with the bylaws when they're drafted to discover that parking meters are too close to the corners. Can you imagine? The motion that has not been allowed in the House on the parking meters, which we brought, talks about the fact that the police and the traffic police and the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, all these bodies have to sit down and deal with if they wanted to bring in parking meters, because there are laws that govern those bodies. So outside of that, though, the imposition of the parking meters, call on the minister, call on the president, call on the government, stop this. It is not a good idea. Pause it, let it go to the people, let there be consultations, let's see if there's another way to do this thing. Of course, the response of the government is that they can't interfere in the mayor and city council. Really, and they're interfering in regional democratic councils, they're imposing regional flags and symbols on regions in this country where the regions have not been consulted, the people have not been consulted. Really, Mr. Bulkan, really members of the cabinet of this government. But anyway, they say they can't interfere. Well, let's look at it from 2 points of view. Who approved the bylaws? Because when they didn't approve it on Monday, up to Monday morning, it's the minister who said they can't proceed and charge fees. And on Tuesday, when he signed it, they can. So the law that we know says that he could approve, but it also says he doesn't have to approve. He can amend it. And this was the law they didn't want to do anything about. So the parking meters go straight to the government. And please remember, the Mayor and City Council is made up of 27 of the 30 members of the council are members of the APNU AFC, representing that party that won those seats in Georgetown. So why not, at the big general council meeting they had last weekend, why didn't they make a decision and say politically to their councillors in the MMC, hold your horses, don't go in this direction? Because you know what? That's what they want. They want the parking meters. This APNU AFC government believes that the parking meters is the solution to problems in this city, to bring in money for this city. Nobody knows the contract. Or the 20% the city council is supposed to get. Is this being paid at the end of the year when the company supposedly makes profits? Or is it that it's an advance payment to the city council? So it'll have money to cut the parapets, to clean up the city, because the canals in many areas and drains in many areas are not being kept up to date. Only the main areas of Merriman Mall, you're seeing those kind of things going on. So they brought it in, and I want to congratulate the Guyanese for the ingenuity, for the innovativeness for the last 3 days, 4 days actually, of quietly, silently saying to the city council, and the government that they're not going to be imposed on with parking meters. They don't want it, they don't agree with it, they're not going to comply with it, and so they're not using it. So the Guyanese people are true to form, that they are not going to be bullied by the city council nor this government. And so, congratulations. Keep up the good work. We trust you and we believe that you know what you're doing and that you are absolutely correct. Parking meters in this country, can you imagine they put in front of teachers, in front of schools? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? And there are workers who have cars who may not be making lots of money, but you are going to pay so much thousand a day. By the time you pay that, you don't have any money for your family to pay rent or your mortgage or anything like that. It's unacceptable. So the Guyanese people and the Georgetown people are voting with their feet, or I was to say they are parking with their feet, and good for you. Congratulations, and stay strong. But it is not the PPP that has been involved with 26 scandals of corruption, and there's an addition of 2 more scandals, because I've been keeping track of their scandals, and there are 2 more that are surfacing, which I promise I shall expose to you in a few weeks' time. Those are scandals of their own making. Drug bond, Durban Park, write-offs of different companies for millions and billions of dollars, abandonment of the procurement process of this country, and on and on and on. It is not the PPC who is breaking the procurement laws and giving out awards to their cronies without going through a public procurement process. It is not the PPC that when the IDB had the project here in Guyana for the prepaid meters of GPL that have been held up now for 8-9 months because in the evaluation process, who they wanted to get their award did not get it. And so they went to tender again and they awarded it to a new person. The companies now who were not selected and who were lower bids have gone to the IDB. That's a 6 months delay now. Anytime you go to the IDB to protest on any issue, 6 months delay. So this is money that we're going to be paying fees on because it's money we borrowed. It's not free money. It's not aid money. So we're not responsible for that. We're not responsible. That happened between May 2016 and today. It is not the PPP, and of course, by the way, there are rumors galore about the kickbacks going on with officials in this country in the hundreds of millions of dollars for licenses, for waiving their GRA arrangements, millions and millions of dollars that would make your hair turn gray. And of course, we know of the other areas again of scandals of drug bond and and Durban Park, for example, where the minister takes 500 million of the taxpayers' money to pay back contractors who were given work under this Homer Stretch Development Inc., and in which the contractor, the actual cost that they're owed is over $700 million, and the minister says, take it or leave it. You take what you get. The whole of Durban Park project cost the taxpayers of this country over $1 billion. It is not. Durban Park was not created by the PPP. That project is a legacy project of the APNU AFC government. It is not the PPP who gave itself in 2015 September, its ministers and cabinet members, and 27 ministers, by the way, humongous salary increases, nor allowance increases, doubling what the PPPC ministers used to get. Nor are we responsible for the creation of a huge bureaucracy of presidential and ministerial advisors, ministerial assistants, handbag carriers, because I see it in Parliament, the ministers have gentlemen or ladies who walk along with them to carry their handbags, personal bodyguards, etc., totaling over 100 people, and that's excluding the 30-odd foreign honorary councils that have been advisors that have been hired to do the government's bidding overseas. We're not responsible for that. These are decisions they took. It is not the PPC that removed the subsidy of electricity and water for the elderly. And it is not the PPP who imposed the tax, the 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% 14% The removal of the subsidy was in August 2015, and the imposition of the VAT is in this month. And it was decided in December. It is not the PBPC that removed the 10,000 We Care program for each child registered in school, where over 100,000 children benefited. It is not the PBPC. That was their decision in the August 2015 budget. It is not the PBCC that has literally shut down the housing program, where over 100,000 people were able to access house lots, and many had built and or were building their houses. It's not us. They're talking about condos and apartments. Anybody who paid their money up before May 2015, some of them have waited all this time to try and get their transports. They paid, and they're not getting their transports. And I want to see if they're going to get back their money. This is a sector, the housing sector, contributed over 5,000 jobs. Over 5,000 people were employed in the construction industry alone in this country. It also provided jobs and contributed to the manufacturing sector of this country with the provision of zinc and wood and plywood and doors and PVC and windows. All these things were being manufactured in this country, and PVC pipes and so on. And also, it's not including the impact on the truckers who brought the sand and the wood and the sawmills and the sand quarries that were all providing jobs and economic activity for this country. And they wonder, why is the economy declining? It is not the PBPC that imposed VAT and removed essential zero-rated items for the households of this country, the people of this country, for the agricultural, technological, and housing sectors of this country. It is not the PBPC that has banned used tires for people to use in this country. So by March, all the stocks that are in the country have to be sold out, because from then on, you cannot import used tires. It is not the PBPC that brought in the law in last year and reinforced this year in the budget that prohibiting the importation of cars that are more than 4 years old. So most people are talking about 2008. It's not 2008, it's 4 years. So you're talking about 2012. And the cost of a 2012 car versus a car that was 2008 or 2004 is enormously a huge gap. So I don't know who will be able to afford cars that are being imported only 4 years old. And because the law says 4 years, it means that 4 years will go up by each year. So next year it will be 2013, etc., etc. It is not the PBPC that closed down Wales Estate with no clue what to do with the estate and the workers. It is not the PBPC that merged LBI and Enmore. It is not the PBPC that threatened to close down Rose Hall. It is not the PBPC that has made a secret deal to privatize Skeldon Estate with companies that have no experience with the sugar sector whatsoever. It is not the PBPC that says that sugar is a burden and they can't afford to support them, and therefore they're willing to wish away 17,000 workers, cane farmers, and communities that are dependent on the sugar sector, including manufacturers in the production of rum, in the production of molasses, in the production of various drinks, and the production of bitters or Angostura bitters, and so on. It is not the PPC who is destroying the rice industry since it came to office. Since this government came to office, it has refused to do anything to help the farmers and threatening thousands of rice farmers, their families, and communities. We brought a motion to Parliament. The Speaker said, it's a private matter. He will not allow the motion. We fought again and showed that the Minister has a responsibility for the rice industry. 8 months later, he allows the motion. We discuss it. The government defeated it. They rejected every single recommendation we made on how to help the rice farming sector out. Every single one. It is not the PPC who has imposed increased fees for MMA on the rice and cattle and cash crop farmers in Region 5. Neither are we the ones who increase the fees for farmers at Hope Estate, nor the increases for farmers in Region 2. It is not the PPP who revoked leases for farmers in Region 5 and house lots occupied by people. And in the case of the farmers of Region 5, they went to the court. The court ruled in their favor, yet the leases were all revoked by the president. Those who had their house lots and houses seized by Central Housing and Planning have gone to court, and those matters are still before the court. It is not the PPPC that has done these things. All these measures, particularly in the agriculture sector, which I was talking about just now, increase the cost of living for all Guyanese. And it's damaging the economy and the productive sector. Imagine Minister Gaskin says, we must eat local. But everything the government is doing is harming the agricultural sector, whether it's rice, sugar, other crops, and livestock. And then it removes the essential zero rating on essential items so that you will have to pay more. And at the same time, hurting the production in the farming community. Minister Holder says, in relation to MMA fees, oh, it's only the cost of 3 bears. This is an insult and disrespectful to the farmers of this country. Because he may be talking about 3 years, three bears, and I didn't know which bears he's talking about, because I know he likes his bears. It is not the PPC who wrote off monies owed to the GRA by the DDL. It's not the PPC who did that. We had them in court, and the GP and DDL did not pay the money that they were supposed to pay. Now banks, and there will be other companies who complied with the laws all the time. Banks their age, complied with all the laws, pay their taxes, all the things they're supposed to, and then discover that another company has been given this sweetheart deal right off all. So these companies, the first one to go is Banks CIH, who has gone to the courts, and they're suing the GRA for approximately $28 billion for the period between 2001 and 2006. But the granting and the write-off for the DDL went up to 2015. So that is additional to the $28 billion. And who will have to pay for this? Because they're going to win the case in court. There's no doubt about it. They will win the case in court. And who will pay banks back? Where will this money come from? It will be you, the taxpayers, that have to pay. It's you, the taxpayers, and I, the taxpayers, who are paying for the write-off for DDL. And it is the taxpayers that will have to pay under these court matters. And it's estimated that if banks wins and other companies also in the same area go to the courts, which is anticipated will happen, that this could amount to over $70 billion. Enough money to save the sugar sector, enough money to assist the rice farmers and other farmers, enough money to pay the teachers an increase in salary, and enough money to increase the public servants' increase in salaries. That's what the $70 billion is all about. And that is what is so criminal about what has happened here. And as I said, we didn't do this. So whatever you want to talk about our past and bad things we did and whatever things you didn't agree with, this is not of our making. This puts and ends at the feet of the APNU AFC coalition government. It is not the PPC who has introduced increased fees for the Demerara Harbour tolls for the Demerara Harbour Bridge. Nor are we the ones who in the last morning, in the midst of the debate, and as the debate comes to the end, increases fuel prices. And as the oil prices go up, they will use this excuse to keep going up. The kind of cushion we used to give the Guyanese people since 2008 with the global fuel and economic crisis, those are being abandoned. So I could go on and on and on. But let's stop here. None of these decisions have been made by the PPC. These are purely and their decisions. The decisions of the APNU AFC government, cabinet, ministers, president, and all the agencies since May the 16th, 2015. These are their decisions. The buck stops at their feet. And, we heard a lot about Fresh Start. Fresh Start has basically meant abandon anything the PPP did. Everything is wrong, everything's bad. I don't agree with that approach. That's not how democracies work, but let's pretend they're right. Well, if they're right about everything, and this is what their views are, what they've done to the people, the things I listed, then you know what Fresh Start was all about. They fooled and mamagayed the Guyanese people, particularly those who supported them, that this was a fresh start, this was going to be a change. Well, they promised a change, and the change is here. But they cannot excuse themselves. These decisions, these innovations, these fresh starts are all of their own making. They have no one to blame but themselves. And so if people are upset about them, don't come and say the PPP. We did none of these things. You may have a list of things you think we did, but these are not of our making. These are decisions that harm the people of this country. These are decisions that hurt the productive sector on which we depend for foreign currency to have money to run this country. We are not responsible. We wash our hands like Pontius Pilate. We're not responsible for these decisions. The PPPC will take no burden of this. This is the burden of the APNU AFC government in 21 months in office. These are the reasons why the economy is declining. These are the reasons for the poor circulation of money in the country. These are the reasons for the decline in the US foreign currency reserves of this country. These are the reasons for the lack of trust and confidence of the people in this country of the government. These are the reasons for the ability of the ordinary Guyanese man and woman to buy things that they need for themselves and for their houses. And so for many of the young people who were believed and were sucked into this whole thing about youth, where are the youth in the new government? What voice do they have? And you take the housing program, which was one of the big issues for young people, professionals, young workers coming up to be able to get their land and to be able to build a house. There is no one else to blame but the APNU AFC government. They are solely responsible for these fresh starts and changes that they've imposed by diktat on the Guyanese people. So it's 1:05. Let's start taking some calls, no? So we have a caller coming in. Let's take a call. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I think I did something to you. Sorry, caller, I didn't mean to do that. Could you try again? I always have some technical difficulty. My daughter says I'm technologically challenged. So, hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Matters of Public Importance.
Hi, good afternoon to you, Madam Teixeira.
Good afternoon.
Nice to see you at Channel 6.
Yes.
Right, you must, you and the PP must give some credit to Mr. Sharma.
Oh, I did when we started the program.
During the PP reign, Mr. Sharma went through some serious crisis under your government.
Yeah,
so
we did.
He has to be commended for giving you airtime on his channel.
Yeah.
To hear the views of the PP.
Well, he used to give it to Mr. Granger every hour, every week as leader of opposition. So when we became opposition, he gave us the same courtesy, and we thanked him and acknowleded that. So let's get to the point now.
Let me move on from the
Yeah, right. I think you should.
But I'm listening to the things that you're raising. But do you agree, Madam Teixeira, as a law enforcement in the parliament for so many years, that if you try to repair some things in 10 or 20 or 15 years, it cannot be done in 2 years? You agree with that too? If you come and you try to remedy a problem that was existing for 5 or 10 or 15 years, can it be done in 2 years?
Sure. Well, what's the thing you're trying to remedy with the parking meters?
No, I'm not.
No, I'm asking you a question.
Parking meter. I've done other countries and it's parking meter. Ghana, we cannot be left behind for too many decades. part. I've done with countries around the world, and they respect. Guyanese travel to this country and go overseas, and the people parking because so there is an honesty. People
Okay,
don't
so let's
eventually
get
fall
to the
into
point. What
parking
is it you want to ask
However,
me? What do you want to ask
however,
me? Go ahead.
I want to talk about on two sectors of this country:
Right.
the sugar industry
Yeah. Well,
and the rice industry.
mm,
For the rice farmers, they always want people to help them and give them money and give them this and give them concession. But my question is that every time there's a crop and these rice farmers make their big money with they export the rice farmers and the millers, what they do with the profit? What they do, don't in the farm of business, don't you have to take your money and reinvest and recapitalize?
okay, we'll answer that
the next
question.
crop?
We'll answer that question. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm not finished, you know.
No.
You cutting me off now?
No, I'm not cutting you off. I've had a complaint from callers that they don't get to come on because some people stay on the line too long. So I will answer you, but I can't.
I could ask you one question before I leave.
Go ahead, quickly.
As part of the previous government, didn't the World Bank instruct the PP government to close RDMR estate, yes or no? In the 90s. Was that recommendation for come, yes or no? This are you don't want me to start from since I'm not a PPP, so this is all I ask you.
Thank you very much. I have had complaints by callers who have said that some people call in and they hold up the lines because they talk for 10, 15 minutes and they don't get a chance to call in. And this was repeatedly raised with me by people saying they're not getting a chance to call in. Some may have been APNU, some may be PPP, I don't know. So I'm trying to manage the phones a bit better. It's unfortunate the gentleman cannot allow that democratic principle that everyone get a chance to speak. But on the rice industry, you know, it is this government that promised on the election campaign that the rice farmers would get $9,000 a bag of rice. It is also what they call it does not seem to appreciate that rice contributes significantly to the economy of this country. In fact, billions of dollars are garnered for the economy that benefits all of us from the sale of our rice overseas and the production of rice. What the caller also doesn't know, that when the rice is produced and sold to the millers and so forth and exported, sometimes the farmers don't get paid for 6 months, 8 months afterwards, depending on the world market and the way in which the rice is being sold, exported, and the money paid in. So it isn't that rice farmers are sitting. And in fact, rice is not a cheap product to produce, but it's a product that by 2015 we produce 700,000 tons. And the government has helped in no way to find markets, which is the responsibility of government, to help the manufacturers. And if the comrade is going to talk about United States, how is it the American government has given subsidies, the American farmers, for wheat and corn and a number of other products when they have surpluses, when they can't get markets, or when the world price drops? So that we help the farmers and the importation of fertilizers and seed paddy to help them out, including not having VAT on the seed paddy for the farmers, was all part of helping the industry indirectly. So if the gentleman has a problem with rice, I guess he likes flour, and he can eat flour, because what the government is doing to rice will devastate the sector, but also devastate the economy. And by the way, the rice farmers do buy those huge machineries that they use in their fields. Those are usually borrowed based on loans to the bank, which have to be paid back. They have children to produce, just like the gentleman calling. I'm sure he has kids that he sends to school and he has to take care of. And so that argument doesn't hold water. The second one on sugar, I don't know what he's talking about, but that was not a recommendation of any IDB report. And if he knows it, he can send me a note and drop it at Freedom House saying which ID report in the 1990s called on the government of Ghana, the PPP government, to close down all the estates. There is no such report, but if he knows of it, I'm willing to learn, and please send me and just drop a note at Freedom House so that I'll pick it up, I'll go and look at it myself, and I'll report back to you right here at the program. Good afternoon, welcome to Matters of Public Importance.
Good afternoon, comrade. Gail.
Yes.
How are you? Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much.
Now that caller, the call, always calling and bringing back 12 years, 13 years. So you need to cut him off. We have important things to talk about. We're talking about the pressure that this country is putting us through. Cut him off. He's talking one thing over and over when you come down on the program. Let him leave that to Charmer program. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, the first caller, you've heard one of the responses to you, so it's not just me. Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to Matters of Public Importance. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good afternoon, Mrs. Gail Teixeira.
Hi, welcome to Matters
You
of
know,
Public
I
Importance.
admire you reminds me of Mrs. Jagan and Mr. Jagan. You know?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, you know, Gail Teixeira, the police are supposed to protect this country. And you know my son was murdered so brutally. And it is done by the police. I read it in the papers. And I want some answers why they killed my precious son MFK. You know, I need some answers. This whole family destroyed.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard my son worked? I'm sure you know him because I always see his pictures. I have his pictures in this house with Mrs. Jagan and Mr. Jagan. You know?
Yeah.
He was a popular businessman.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pick up this case through the New York. I'm going to get the New York police to come in this matter. Because he is a prominent person in America. His wife and children have to run to Venezuela. My son had 3 big property in Georgetown. And I want to know why they killed my precious son. They destroyed this whole family. You know that?
Yes. Can I ask, ma'am, that you're free to come to the Office of the Leading Opposition, 304 Church Street, between New Garden and Peter Rose, to meet one of our MPs there or one of our staff members there, and to see in what way we can guide you or advise you.
You know, Mrs. Gail Teixeira?
Yes.
My children from New York and I tired run around Georgetown, and I am 76-year-old.
Yes.
I am 3 bypass. I have.
dear.
And I'm not strong to run around Georgetown.
Okay.
You know, whatever happens, we all have to die and go down in the earth. But they're going to answer for it down there.
Yes.
You know?
No, well, I don't believe any crime it goes unpaid for. It's
No crime goes unpaid.
You know?
Every book tells you that, and I so admire you. I always vote for Mr. Jagan, and I admire you with his wife, and so. You
Thank
know?
you very much.
I'm living 20 years in America. I'm a citizen for America. My son was a citizen in America. But he has his business here, and he go and come.
Right.
And my eldest son, he get heart attack 9 months after and he died.
Oh, no.
You know, you can just imagine what pain I'm going through.
I can imagine. You stay strong.
But there is a
Stay
God
strong.
above us, and whoever paid the policeman to do that, they're going to pay in this world. They're going to suffer in this world. You
Yes,
know?
yes.
I thank you for listening to me.
You're welcome.
And
Stay
the
strong.
whole
Stay
public
strong.
know what happened with my son, and the whole world talk about it. Because my son was a popular businessman.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
I thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good
Enjoy the
afternoon.
rest of the day.
You stay strong.
I
Okay.
enjoy your program. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you very much. Hello? Hello? Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Matters of Public Importance.
I just called to say that I was overwhelming and happy that was 2 nights ago, leader of the opposition,
Yes,
Jack Day, that he had some meeting on the West Coast.
right.
And I'm talking about the meeting where he had in Zimbabwe,
Yes,
and
I heard it was very big.
Hello?
I heard it was a very big meeting.
Yeah, it was reasonable, but what I'm saying, I called to say that I am really happy what he's doing. He's trying to bring the people back together. He's outlining how to restructure and get things okay. That's what some of the importance. And I just like the way that he dealt with matter, even to
Right.
the NDC and all of different ways. And I could live with that. I could live with that. He come and he meets with us and he
Right.
expressed his feelings, and we had an opportunity to ask him questions. And I think he's for the General Secretary to the, and the leader of the opposition. He's a party. He's a person to put the civic on the front foot. I want to say thanks for that.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
No, we believe that 2020 is not far from now, and that we have the 2019 local government elections, we have general regional elections, we have a lot of work to do, and that with our new General Secretary, Barry Jagdeo, who is also the leader of the opposition, that we can put ourselves, strengthen ourselves, consolidate our support, win new people to our support, and that we can come in to win the next general elections and to win again the local government elections. But we mustn't be complacent, and we must keep in contact with the people, because we need people to talk to people. Whether they voted for us or not, it doesn't matter. But we are in election mode, starting now, starting from Congress. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, welcome to Matters of Public Importance.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Welcome.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I think we're going having a rerun. The PNC doing exactly what they did in the 70s and the 80s. All the major sector of production was half rice, sugar, bauxite, manufacturing by the time the PNC left office. And they've gone down the same path once again through their arrogance, not listening to anybody, not consulting with anybody. The same run. It's a dark cloud hanging over Guyana.
Yeah.
Worst of all, they have a serious problem with the rule of law in this country.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I sincerely hope that...
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Miss Gail.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Matters of Public Importance.
I'm glad I get through today with your program. I would like Guyana, the whole of Guyana and Guyanese to know that this new AFC government didn't spare us a tax. Every single little thing or big thing they put on tax on it. And some of them still blind. They got on the blind for the eye and they not see. But they must see but them shame. Because they know what they vote for. Then again nothing. Nothing. And they gonna get worse to come. Because this country a cripple as a housewife is everything expensive. You got to know how ends are meet.
Yeah.
And still them not shame for come and insult you when you come on this program. And Gail, I'm happy. When the mind this Sharma this and bring you but this insult you. If you get a free time, you come on because everybody ask for free time for hear the vibes and the PPP, and PPP go still live on, and we go still win no matter what they do. We still go win. We are die hard, and we know where progress there. Everywhere you turn in this country, progress. But now, like you see a dark sky hanging over all over. Enjoy the rest of the day, darling.
Thank you very much. I couldn't have said anything you said better than you, my dear.
Welcome, baby.
You have a wonderful day, and you stay strong.
Enjoy, good.
Okay, thank you.
Continue fight.
Yes.
Fight.
Well,
Get back our rights.
You give me the strength and courage to do that.
All the time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye-bye. Whew, voice of the women, huh? Well, Trump had to face it, after the inauguration. The next day you had all these marches of women around not only the United States, cities in the United States, but in Europe and even in South Africa and so on. So it is the power of women, the voice of women that we have to listen to. And the women who go and buy the food stuff, the women who try to dress their children for school, the women who have to buy the textbooks that are now removed from zero rated to exempt, all the educational rulers, erasers, crayons, exercise books have all been removed from zero rated items. And so it is the women who every single day have to face this. And it is the voice of the women that will bring change in this country and put back in a freely and democratically elected government, and the PPPC will be back in government at that time. So, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Welcome to Matters of Public Importance.
Good afternoon, Ms. Teixeira.
Good afternoon.
Well, first of all, I would want to say this, right?
Yes.
The caller called just now said that the Guyanese people should not, be blinded and shouldn't forget certain things, right?
Yes. Yes.
My thing is, Ms. Teixeira,
Yes.
and I'm being very honest,
Right.
the PPP, right, especially led under Barajavi, I don't doubt that the PPP is a strong party, but the PPP led under Barajavi has caused this country enough pain. That is my view. You understand? We tend to forget of all these foolish things that happen, especially the crime situation that you guys complain about. Guyana experienced its worst under Barajavi. When it comes to the economy, right? You guys could complain how much you want. My thing to Guyanese people, what is the political alternative? This thing is not about race. This thing is not about, it is foolish, right? The mere fact that you are on CN Sharma's program says a lot. Because I remember that you guys used to give Sharma all sorts of stress. You understand? You guys shut him down, people beat him up, all kind of things.
Are you accusing us of being
has no
enough?
shame.
Be careful what you're saying on the program, my dear.
I am being
There's
very
libel.
careful. You
There's
guys
something
have
called
no
libel,
shame.
my dear.
And I'm going to tell you this. The guy that called earlier, you were quick to cut him off. But anybody who would call and compliment the foolishness that the PPP did, you would listen to them for however long. The PPP feeds into racism and division in this country.
Okay.
You understand? And
Yes.
that is how it is. You,
Yes, I've heard
as a
you.
parliamentarian, you've been there. You understand? You've been there as long as Cherry Pagan days. You understand?
No,
And
I'm
if
not
you
that
have
old.
any
I'm not
form
that
of-
old, I'm sorry.
If you have any form of conscience, you understand? And if you are going to be honest to the Guyanese people, if the PPP wants to rebrand itself, then they should first start by being honest.
Okay,
Understand?
thank you very much.
See,
Thank
that's
you.
very dishonest party.
Okay,
Understand? And you
thank you very much. Yeah, the point about, first of all, let's clear up some things with Sharma. I repeat what I said in November 2015 when we started this program. This program has had, we're now on the 48th program, TV appearance on this program. So maybe these persons are now hearing about it for the first time, that's fine. But let's clarify the issue on why we're using this program. I believe as any political party has a right to use whatever channel they want to, whatever channel is offered to them, on radio or television. And the government has the whole NCN apparatus and the press, and they can go on any program. In fact, a complaint of a number of radio hosts and TV hosts which are not PPP have complained the ministers don't want to come before them. They keep postponing, they're not available, they don't want to come. That's not my problem. Mr. Granger, as the leading opposition, was given 1 hour free time every week from 2012 to 2015. The same offer was made by Mr. Sharma to the PPPC, and it was decided that I would do the program. And we have taken up the offer. We've acknowledged Mr. Sharma's magnanimity, which he offered to both leaders of the opposition and opposition parties, and we think it is a good thing that he's doing it. If Mr. Sharma or anybody else doesn't want to say program, we'll find another program to go on. But we appreciate and we've acknowledged since November, December, and January 2015 and 2016, and you can check the tapes on my program. I've said it all the time. Secondly, so it's not you don't have to bring in all the past. Mr. Sharma got over that a long time ago. It is he who made the offer to us, and we accept it. Because, of course, why would he just give Mr. Granger for 3 years and not now a new opposition coming and you wouldn't offer the same courtesy? Well, we appreciate it. So you don't have to rub our nose in that. The second issue is to do with speaking time. We have had 7 people call in on the program. Each one have had their say. 7 people called in between 1:06 and 1:25. Each caller has had, in many cases, 2 to 3 minutes each. Some cases, like the gentleman just now, was having up to 4 and 5 minutes. So that if I'm intending to allow people to have a voice, I will do so. that people have a right. But let's talk about what the last gentleman said, because he was obviously trying to get a lot in, and he hasn't listened to this program, and he hasn't listened to also the other callers who called in, including people who are supporters of the government, who have a right to call in. But this program was dealing with what are the decisions made by this government. If he wants, and we've had discussions in past programs on the crime situation, we've had discussions on the economy. He hasn't heard them because maybe he's just now tuning in. But the issue is that the crime situation he refers to, 2002 to 2008, was the worst and most violent crime wave that this country has ever experienced, colonial or independence times. And it was created and fashioned by some of the worst psychopaths that this country has ever known, and criminals who were called liberation fighters, who were emboldened by the then opposition party that they were liberation fighters. And they murdered and killed people ruthlessly. And the Bartik and Lusinan trial that are going on is a reminder of what that was. So that's just a fact. I'm not going to get into debate of whether that the issues under the 2002-2008 and the political things that went on that encouraged those people to carry out the rape and violence and murder that took place. And by the way, the 30 AK-47s that came out of the Army headquarters, only about 13 or so were ever found by 2011. So where are the rest? Are those the ones that are re-emerging now in some of these criminal activities? And so the gentleman, you're comparing chalk and cheese. The issue of the economy, again, the gentleman seems to be unaware of some basic facts. We are, and this is supported by the same IDB, World Bank, and IMF, that Guyana had 8 years of consecutive growth of averaging 4% over the last 8 years before 2015. It is the second country in the Western Hemisphere that was able to achieve that. Fact. Second fact is that over $760 million was left in the foreign currency reserves for this country when we demitted office. That is the equivalent of over 3 months of foreign currency reserves, which is required and something we need to have as a country under the inspection of IMF and everybody else. Why is it that those figures have dropped as of in the 2017 budget to less than $600 million? Where is the over 100 odd million gone? Why is it with a budget, two budgets in 1 year, totaling $470 billion, the largest budgets that have ever been experienced in this country, far more than the PPP. We give the PPNC credit for that. They brought two enormous budgets in 2 years. February 2016 of $220 billion, and December for 2017, $250 billion. Great. So you don't have a shortage of money. So the fact that the PPP was this wicked party that did all these things wrong, you have $470 billion to spend in 2 years. And in fact, unaccounted for many, because much of that has been unaccounted for. And we'll see that when the Auditor General and other reports come up. But when the gentleman starts to talk about other issues, I know the gentleman's trying to get in many of his issues one time, because the purpose was to attack. All I have to say to the gentleman, the proof is in the pudding. The economy showed economic growth rate. Their foreign currency reserves has never existed in Guyana. Rice, sugar, bauxite were all on the way up, particularly rice, bauxite. Telecommunications, the call centers, the housing programs, the agricultural areas, etc. And so we could go in statistically, and if the gentleman wants, I can bring in the finance people on our side and let them talk to you. You know, this country is not right now cash-strapped, thanks to the PPPC and its prudent management of the economy and the finances, so that you can attack us all you want. But if, as the gentleman saying, that things were so bad and the economy was in such a terrible situation, how come in 2015, the first budget of the APNU FC government, it jumped from what was 180 billion to 200 billion? You know, how? Where did money come from? They're now borrowing money a year later. But The fact is that they had money to put in, and while they put in that money, they cut the programs. And this program today was looking at decisions made by this government that have impacted on Guyana and its people and the nation and the economy. We can have later on, if the callers wish, to have a forensic audit of what the PPP did and didn't do. But right now we're living under APNO FC as the government. It is the one who has to answer for the many issues I raised that was not done by us. They were done after May 16, 2015. All those decisions I gave were made by this government after, and it had nothing to do with not having money. The taxation of the government has to do with the devoid of any vision of how to develop this country. And their only answer to develop is to tax. And letting all the major sectors that have produced GDP, sometimes 20, 30% GDP to this country, to start falling apart. So, it's been wonderful being with you. And as always, we meet every Thursday between 12:30 and 1:30. And I always tell you, don't drink and drive. We want all of you to be alive and kicking next week when we do the program. So have a blessed week. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and we'll meet back again here, right here at 12:30 on Channel 6 to discuss matters of public importance. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Take care.